Alright. Stop. Stop it. Hi, I'm going to have to keep an eye on that. Autofocus much prefers Sydney Sweeney. Now, I'm going to talk about Madame Web. And the reason I'm going to talk about Madame Web is because I liked the look of it from the trailer. Literally, I liked the look of it. I first saw the trailer muted on Twitter, and I thought, hey, the colors in that look pretty good for a superhero movie shot on digital. So that was enough for me to sit through this fucker. I actually was sort of holding out hope that it might be good. But anyway, it was a stupid thing to think. I mean, I suppose I should flag this up top, but of course this is an entry in Sony's scam cinematic universe where they try and trick people into thinking that it's a Marvel movie because they have the rights to the Spider-Man side characters. But you know, like with Venom, they know they're doing schlock, and Tom Hardy sort of owns that. And with Morbius, you know, people online decided it would be cool to ironically enjoy that. So I didn't really get into either of those two. But Madame Web, a movie which maybe looked like it might have some style to it, but clearly they were just dumping it in theaters, doing like the bare minimum promotion. All the actors have just been like giving out interviews slagging this thing off. It's really just had an embarrassing press run. So I was quite enjoying that. Anyway, that's just so we're all on the same page about what this thing is. Slop that even Sony doesn't have faith in. But I maintain that it really does look quite good, especially for right now, for a superhero thing right now. You know, it's not flat lighting and low contrast with a dim and beige color grade. You know, it's got some colors and they're popping, and that's really incredible to see. It's not like a classy aesthetic, it is very trashy looking, but you just don't see movies looking like this right now. But it was huge when digital color grading was being adopted, really. And this movie's set in the early 2000s, so it has a sort of interesting period piece thing. I mean, it's inexplicably set in 2003, and possibly that setting was only added in with reshoots, but whatever. I think overall, for a superhero movie, it really does have some visual style. Not a great one, but it does have it. You know, the camera moves and the lighting is directed and intentional for each shot. It's got interesting and colourful production design. When they do the flashback Madame Web seeing the future stuff, that's really just sort of practically done. Throughout the movie you're looking through webs, shattered glass or actual spider webs or some netting. So it does try to have visual language, and that's incredible. Why'd they do that for this? So it's got style, except where it doesn't. The editing is often dog shit. It sucks. It's really bad. You've got things being insanely cut against each other. It feels like, you know, it was probably squashed down to get it to an hour and a half. I haven't checked the runtime. I don't know. But it feels like over-condensed. Not that you'd want it to be longer, but you can just feel that there is stuff missing. And it is doing like a lot of smash zooms, genuinely for drama, which is crazy. And then as it gets into some bigger visual effects stuff, that sucks. Especially Madame Web's web void, where she sees the future or whatever the fuck. I don't know. That really sucked to look at. And the soundtrack is unbelievably intrusive and on the nose. Really, really trying to tell you how to feel. Including a bit where, because of this like time loop gimmick, they do get to do a couple of pieces of unusually brutal action for this movie, because it's like it's not real, it doesn't really happen, you know. So, you know, you can paralyze people and get blood everywhere and stab them to death and all this shit. But during one of those unusually brutal action sequences being played for drama with this overbearing music telling you that this is dramatic, what starts to happen is Britney Spears' Toxic starts to fade up over the music, and they're like clashing against each other, and it feels like a mistake, which is probably generally a broader problem with it. It has no grip on tone. It's constantly trying to force a dramatic moment where there isn't one, or like taking something that's conceptually funny and playing it for drama instead. There's a bit where, you know, she's first figuring out her powers, which takes her way too long. It's like, going into the movie, I've figured out what her powers are, but you know, she has to get halfway through the movie to do that. A bird flies into her apartment window and dies. And then rewind, and she hasn't figured out what her powers are yet, so she's just sort of fiddling with the window, and then this bird flies in at her, but it's like the music is like stinging, and it's like this, whoa, big dramatic reveal. It's like, no, that's not what that is. We know the bird was going to come into the window. Now there's a bird in her apartment. Isn't that something that she has to deal with now? No, it was just a dramatic moment that you were supposed to be invested in. What? Anyway, I'm sure there's better examples of whatever I was talking about. The jokes are interesting. There's a lot of joke attempts in here where you can tell that this moment in the script only exists to be a joke, but you know, it functionally isn't. Like, you know, I'm a miserable cock and I hate jokes, so when there's jokes in the Marvel stuff, I'm not laughing at that. But you know, it is functional as a joke. I can recognize that it was a joke. This, it was like, I can tell there's supposed to be a joke here, but they didn't quite write one. But yeah, the writing, especially of the dialogue, is very incoherent and embarrassing, and the performances suck. I'm not dogging on the actors right now. Maybe some other time I'll dog on actors in general, but I think to have the entire cast being given such wooden dialogue, and even when the dialogue itself doesn't seem like it should be wooden to be delivered in that way, you know, that's not an actor problem. There's something fucky going on. You've got that really inane stuff that's presumably an attempt at banter, and you've got like really on-the-nose stuff. Like, she talks to a stray cat and tells the stray cat, us strays need to stick together. Like, who would say that? Or like the exposition is just repeating stuff we know, or repeating stuff that we've just been told. There's a really weird bit where she's having a vision of, before she got spider powers, being told that she's going to have a neuromuscular disorder. And she goes, but I don't have a neuromuscular disorder. It must be because of the spider power, or whatever the fuck. It's like, well, why are you saying this? And then there's just embarrassing phrases, and I assume like fan service stuff. The obvious one that stuck out to me was when she gets told, when you take on responsibility, great power will come to you. It's like, shut the fuck up. I think she is, as a character, intended to be a little awkward, and that's meant to be a bit of fun, but for the most part, she just comes off deranged. Actually, there was one bit, the one intended joke that I did actually laugh at was she's telling a pregnant mother, my mum died in childbirth, and then backpedals by going, but it wasn't that bad. Yeah, that's funny actually. That's still funny to me. It was worth it. The whole movie was worth it just to hear one good line. I mean, a lot of it is writing. Like, the writing isn't good, but I think that iffy performances across the board. It's interesting. It's got a lot of long takes. Not long takes by any normal standard, but by a superhero movie standard. You know, some of these takes go on for like 5 seconds. I think it is just, in general, style as being prioritized over the substance. Like, you could have probably done a better take of that line read, or maybe there was one that they could have cut to, but, you know, they decided to keep this camera move instead, or whatever. That's my feeling. And I think with that, with the action, really, it does decently. You know, I think it's nice in the hook of this movie that she is just sort of normal and useless. She can see the future sometimes, but she can't control it. And the way that she sees the future is just by living through it once and then getting to redo it. But sometimes. So it keeps it, for the most part, a lot smaller scale than any other superhero movie. Aside from some bullshit right at the very end gets bad. But like, almost all of the action is interesting and fun, and they're doing novel action gags. Like, her top move is just driving a car into the bad guy. So that's a bit of fun. And they like electrocute him, and the ending fight takes place in a warehouse full of fireworks, so that's like a fun gimmick and lets them do some big explosive stuff while keeping the scale really small. So I thought that stuff was nice. That stuff was nice and fresh. You know, it's not, on the whole, it is bad. It sucks. It's mostly unmotivated nonsense. I kind of appreciated how unmotivated it was. Like, why is the bad guy coming after us? I don't know. Oh, okay, cool. But there isn't a lot of interest to the plot. Even when the plot starts out, it's just like, why are we seeing this? Is stuff happening? No, nothing was happening. It's got this completely disconnected B-plot about a pregnant mother, and it retreads itself way too much, and yeah, most of the dialogue is completely worthless. So I don't know if this was like a streaming thing that they reworked for a theatrical release, but they're clearly dumping it. I think partly advertising is in a bit of a weird place right now, but this is not the time to be releasing a movie generally. And the marketing is sort of like mostly just half-heartedly trying to trick people into seeing it, trying to make it look like it's a superhero team-up movie. It's not. All the footage of the superhero team-up stuff comes from flash forwards in this movie. It's not part of this movie at all. And I think the comments from the actors and stuff, like all of the actors when they've posted about this movie have tagged Marvel Studios as if none of them understand that this is a Sony movie. So they maybe tricked all the actors into being in it. And I saw, before I went into the movie, I don't know if you've seen this, but it was like the first official clip from Madame Web has been released by Sony. And it's just this insane clip that has been cut to fuck, and it makes no sense. And I only realized this on my way home from the theater. The reason they cut that down, and the reason for some of the weird, stupid bullshit in this movie, they were cutting out Adam Scott from that clip, because in this movie, Adam Scott plays this guy called Ben, and the movie is set in 2003. And the reason for all of this is so that the random mother giving birth side plot is implied to be the birth of the Tom Holland Spider-Man. So I think, don't go and see this. What are you, insane? But maybe like when it hits streaming, it's an alright one to have on in the background if you want to laugh at how much it sucks. And check out the website to see this awesome video. Or this one. I love to be subscribed to CalebGammon.com.